Hello, guys, and I hope you're doing super duper great. My name is Tech Mood, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how you can write your IELTS exams just once, hopefully, and make sure you don't really spend a lot of money writing the IELTS over and over and over again. So, these are the things I did, and I was able to pass my IELTS exams in just 2 weeks. Now, I had written this exam 2 years ago, and I had a section where on the reading test I had 5.5, which was not a good score. Unfortunately, I was not able to, proceed with what I wanted to even do. So I didn't really focus on writing the exam again. But in 2025, just in February, I just had 2 weeks from work. So I used that 2 weeks to prepare for the IELTS exam, and I was able to get a 7.5 with my least score at 6.5. I wasn't too happy about it, but at least I cleared all the sections. So for my speaking, I had 8. For my reading, I had 6.5. For my writing, I had 7. And for my listening, I had 7.5. So straight up, let's get to the video. These are the things I did to make sure I, cleared and wrote that once. So I knew I had 2 weeks to write the IELTS exam. So the number one thing is don't underestimate the exam. Don't say, oh, IELTS is just an English exam. Once you do that, you're actually setting your mind to not really be serious and sit down and prepare for it. So IELTS is not just an English exam. It's an exam that is designed to test you. So it's tricky. And the second thing I want you to understand is IELTS has a format. It's the same format 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's going to be the same format a couple of years from now. So what do? You need to understand and learn the IELTS format. You need to know what you're expected of the speaking test. Let's start with the listening test, which is the first test of the IELTS exam. So we have the listening tests, we have the reading tests, then we have the writing tests, and then we have the speaking test, which is the final test. It depends. You can take the speaking test first or last. But usually the listening, reading, and writing, they go together, and you start with the listening test first. So understanding what is expected from each section of the IELTS exam is extremely important. In fact, I spent my first 3 days understanding the IELTS exam and the format. I was not practicing in the first 3 days. So understand the exam format. It's very important. For the listening test, I believe you have about 14 minutes-ish. Not really sure because, hey, I wrote that in February. It's almost April now. And what I actually did, understood was that the listening test had 4 sections, right? And each of these sections, you have questions, definitely for each sections. And there are about 40 questions. And in each of these sections, the difficulty increases. So your first section in your listening test will usually be a regular conversation about someone speaking about, asking for directions, general things. Someone is trying to book a train or someone's trying to book a hotel. That's what you expect. Usually you have 1 or 2 speakers for the first section. The second section is usually the same, but it's slightly difficult. Now, the third and fourth sections of the listening test, that's where it gets tricky, and that's where a lot of individuals lose a lot of marks. So the second and third sections of the IELTS exam usually has a speaker who's speaking about a specific academic topic or a subject that's slightly not really in your field. Now, remember, the IELTS exam is not really targeting you or say, oh, because you're an engineer, I'm going to give you biology. No, it's not like that. Understand that they just want to test your comprehension. So the listening tests, 4 sections, 40 minutes, difficulty increases. And the most important thing you should understand about the listening test is that the questions are not going to be repeated. So you have to be attentive. How do you pass the listening test? So you have to practice a lot. I did over 50 listening tests in less than 2 weeks, and I graded myself. I got a lot of Cambridge materials. I practiced and practiced and practiced till my average became around 36 out of 40, and I knew I was strong enough to pass the listening test. So I had a spreadsheet. I will send the sheet to you for free. So just watch till the ending. I have more things I'm going to be sending you, but I have a spreadsheet and I tested myself, which brings me to the next section. You must test your strength. Understand how many points you're going to get. So for the listening test in the IELTS, for the reading sections, for the writing is the difficult one to test. You need someone else to grade you on that one because you can't really test yourself. But for the reading, you can take a lot of reading tests and get the results. So secondly, so that's for the listening test. Now the reading test itself has its own tips and tricks for the reading test. One very powerful trick is to understand synonyms. Basically, what they're asking you in the question might be slightly different in the passage, but you just look for keywords in the question and you look for synonyms. And please do not rush the reading test. When you're reading, don't go to the passage and read very fast. Don't do that. Whenever you read a question, go back to the passage and take your time and slowly read to look for the answer, and also check for synonyms. I'll also give you the channels where you can actually learn. Another tip I would like to also give you about IELTS test is just use 2 or 3 people to learn from online. And the ones I'll advise is IELTS Liz and IELTS Simon. These 2 people were the people I used 99% of the time. They have free content on YouTube and they basically have everything. So use IELTS Liz and IELTS Simon. Again, I'll put their links down on the description. These are the 2 people I used, and E2. So E2J, E2 is very good as well. So E2, Liz, and Simon. These 3 people, they're the ones who helped me get that score. Really thank you very much to them. So let's also move on to the reading. The reading also has sections, about 3 sections for the reading test. And in the reading test, it has different question types. So you must read and understand the question types. We have gap fill questions. We have match case. We have match fill. We have sentence, match sentence headings. You need to understand all these before you jump in the test. Again, you need to grade yourself. You need to have practice tests from IELTS Cambridge. Again, I also used all my tests were from Cambridge. I used Cambridge 17 and 18, I believe. These are the 2 I used, and I used other Cambridge questions, but these are the major ones I used. Now on YouTube, there are exceptional channels that give you listening practice tests. You can also take advantage of them. Again, I'll be providing those in the section. Now let's move to the the most challenging section of the IELTS, which is for some people the writing. Reading and writing are very challenging. So for the writing, the secret to the writing is this. There is actually a free marking scheme that IELTS provides on their website, and 90% of people do not look at that marking scheme. Please and please download that marking scheme, take a look at it, and find out what IELTS expects of you from the writing, because there's something called the task response. If you're given a topic, right, and you don't really respond to that topic, if you go off topic, there's no way you're going to get the appropriate points you need. There's also cohesion and cohesion, and these basically mean how logical is your essay structured and how logical is your points. Are your points structured? How logical are you structuring them? Let me give you an example. Say you want to cook yam, for instance. You need to get your yam, you need to cut and peel your yam, you need to wash your yam, you need to put your yam in a pot, add water, boil your yam. Once you turn on your gas and your yam is hot, you drain your water, turn off your gas, and you're good. Now, that's a logical structure, right? What happens if you take the yam, you don't peel it, you put it in the pot, you turn on the fire, after a while, you pour water, you turn off the heat, then you put the yam on a plate. You're going to have raw, uncooked yam with the peel. And that's not how it is. So your cohesion, and your task response is critically important. Then your grammatical structure. you have to use a set of complex sentences and use conjunctions and contractions. Conjunctions are words like and or otherwise that you can use to join two sentences. For example, you could say, today is a very lovely day and I am going to really enjoy today. You can also use a simple sentence. You can say, today is a lovely day. I am going to enjoy today. By using the conjunction and you join these words together, you can also use other conjunctions like but, for example. I usually like taking tea in the morning, but I also like adding cake as or cookies as a side hustle. Furthermore, I also like using those words. You can also use words like contractions, like I mentioned, like it's, that's, it will, instead of it is or it has. All these you're going to learn from Liz and E2. But for Simon has the best reading and writing, preparations. So basically, these are most of the things I did. And also for the speaking, you need to record yourself speaking. We all have mobile devices, right? So you need to record yourself speaking and pick a topic, a general IELTS topic, speak for at least 1 or 1.5 minutes, and you'll be actually good to go. So these are things you need to also do in order to, ace your speaking test. Speak a lot, record yourself speaking, get a speaking partner. If you don't, look at a lot of the videos and try to improve your vocabulary. Now, how do you improve your vocabulary? And this would also help in your listening as well. So what I usually do is I played TED Talks for a day or two. I downloaded a few TED Talks on YouTube and watched a few TED Talks. Apart from the TED Talks, also National Geographic is a very good channel to watch documentaries and to listen to documentaries. And also their writings, the write-ups on National Geographic are very good because they are professionally structured. Each time you're reading those things, you can underline any word you don't understand and use a dictionary to find out meaning. And also check for synonyms. Another tip I would also like to add, really sorry, I'm just jumping sections. I'd like to add for the listening test is that you also have to listen for plurals. So sometimes you might find the answer, but it's actually not in a singular tense, it's in a plural tense. For instance, the answer could be boys, but if you write boy, that's you're not going to get that full mark. And another tip I'd like to give you, especially when you're taking the IELTS exam, on the computer-based IELTS exam, don't use caps on your listening test. Don't use all caps. Now, here are my reasons, and I don't think IELTS is going to penalize you for using caps, but honestly, the reason why you use caps on the paper-based IELTS is because everyone has a different, handwriting. So in order for it to be clear and let the examiner see what you're writing, you could just use caps. But when you're on the computer-based, computers use fonts, right? So everyone's font is going to literally be the same. So don't confuse the examiner by using all caps, and it'll be super weird to read a letter using all caps. Another information I like to give you about the writing test is, especially your writing task 2 and your writing task 1, is don't go off topic. And your points, you can give 2 solid points. That's enough. You don't need to give 5 or 6 points. Just 2 points are enough. For your writing task 2, which is the very important one because it contains, I believe, 3 times as more marks as the writing task 1, you need to have at least 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs. Your introduction paragraph that briefly introduces the topic. And then, for example, if you're asked to write a topic like, say, most children these days spend a lot of time using mobile phones. Do you think this will be detrimental to their mental development? Right? So you should write for and or against, or how strongly do you agree or disagree? So your question like that, that's an example of a writing task 2 question. And when that comes, your introduction should just give a broad topic, and you should also specify, whether you agree or disagree, so that whoever is reading it knows you agree. For example, you could say something like, it is a well-known fact that recently technology has boomed so much that young adults You paraphrase the question. So children, young adults spend most times on mobile phones. In this write-up, I'll give reasons why I strongly believe that using electronic digital devices can really hamper their mental health. Something like that. So that's your introduction. And when you're giving out your points, right? Your first paragraph, you introduce a point and tell us why. You understand? For example, using mobile phones can cause a lot of strain on the eyes. So that's a good fact. Next, tell us why. So you tell us why using because, then you give your point, right? Using mobile phones can be detrimental on the health because spending too much hours staring at a computer screen will irritate the eyes and cause strain and give a lot of headaches. So that's one point, right? So you specify your point and you move on to give your second point in your second paragraph. In your second paragraph, you could say something like the educational system is designed to follow a specific curriculum. Meanwhile, a mobile device distracts the young individual so much that they don't really focus on the education but move over by playing games. So you tell us why playing video games on the device now, deviates them from, affecting their mental health. Now, spending too much time playing mobile games, even though there's a digital reward by playing a mobile game on a mobile device, the reward does not exist in the physical world, and you cannot use that in your academics. That's a very solid point. So you've told us another point that the rewards you're getting from playing video games, the mobile phone can be distracting because it can cause you to play video games, and the rewards you get on video games cannot be used in the real world. You can't really present your certificate for playing a video game and get a job. Well, maybe if you're a programmer, you can actually do that. And then in your conclusion, you can use one super sentence that backs up your introduction, right? So again, let me just quickly summarize my tips because this video is going to be too long. I was able to get 7.5 and I used IELTS Liz, IELTS Simon, and E2, this Jay and his team on E2 series. I also used the Cambridge tests. I used just 3 Cambridge books, and I used another channel on YouTube that has a lot of listening tests, and they provide the answers at the end. So what I usually do is if I fail the listening test and I don't get any, I fail a question, I go back to the video after I play it once, and then I'm able to get the point and say, so this is what I did to fail. So I'll be sharing the practice mark sheet for you, right? So I'll give you that for free. You can download that and make sure you practice at least 40. If you can't do 40, practice at least 20 of each section. So do 20 listening tests, grade yourself. Do 20 speaking tests, grade yourself. Do 20 listening tests, grade yourself. And do 20 writing tests, task 1 and task 2, and grade yourself. Improve your vocabulary and you'll be good. Once you've graded yourself and you know the points you're going to get, take the IELTS exam only when you are ready, only when you feel you are strong and you're ready to take the test, or else you're going to write it again. That's just the truth. So these are my few tips on how you can write the IELTS exam once. Now, I did it in 2 weeks. Ideally, you'd need, depends on the person, right? Sometimes you might need 1 month or 2 months. Please take your time and always write the tests when you are ready. And how do you know you are ready? When you've graded yourself and you've seen that you're getting at least a band 8, right? So then you can proceed to pay and take your IELTS test. If you can't do it on your own, join classes and please be very serious. I paid for the tests and I didn't have money to pay for any classes. So I had to sit up, discipline myself and know that, hey, if I'm going to be paying over 250,000 Naira for this, I am not coming back to write this. So hopefully this helps someone. Check the links. Let me know your feedback. And thanks very much for taking your time to listen. Now, usually I'm a tech person. I don't really do IELTS reviews, but because I needed it for some stuff, I just said, let me do this to help someone or anyone who's ready to take the exams. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next